Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. I'm Brian, Mr. Smith, and oddly enough, today this isn't my kitchen. Today we're out in the garage. For what it's worth, I am. We finally, contractor finally left. He was only here for 10 weeks, which I'm not really complaining about, but everything he had to do in reality would have probably only normally taken 4 weeks. But a whole host of complications arising. And anyhow, he's finally out of my garage. So now I'm actually starting to put everything away. And I mean, I'm making some progress. If you remember in my first home tour, we started in the garage and it was just packed. I mean, floor to ceiling with junk. Well, not junk, it's my stuff. But yeah, never put anything. We had all our house stuff in here, plus all his contractor stuff in here, his saws and tools and stuff like that. Now we're down to pretty much just my tools and a handful of things that need to still go in the house. But we're making progress. You know, my goal for this for this garage is to make it kind of like a multi-purpose room. Because we'll do canning out here. Matter of fact, the bench that you are currently sitting on, so to speak, we are going to use not only to do some woodworking on, but we'll do some canning on it. You know, I've got a burner back there, a pile of stuff somewhere over there that will sit on this bench, and so that way we can do some canning. We'll do some cooking out here, things like that. Mostly canning though. Times we don't want to heat up the kitchen. And we'll do some woodworking out here, and I still have enough room over on this section where the garage door is to bring a car in here to do maintenance on or repairs or whatever it takes. That way I can use this garage for many things, which is the way my old garage was set up. If you look at my very first videos ever, the house we were in then with the fish room, had a garage, and I did a lot of different things in there. I did some woodworking in there. We weren't quite into. I mean, we were into canning, but not like we are now, and cooking and things like that. I mean, we've always been into all of that. Just not quite as in depth as we are now, and have been for the last few years. By the way, if you're new to my channel and you found me, welcome. I'm glad you came. If you're returning, that is awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Quick rundown. My channel is basically I'm just documenting me and my life. That's the quick version. We do all kinds of stuff here: cooking, canning, baking. As soon as I get this set up, we'll start doing some woodworking again. We take care of fish. We talk about social issues and anything that comes to mind. I do a majority of the talking, obviously. But comments, you can always comment down below if there's something ever that you want me to read up on and talk about. Just let me know. I'll be more than happy to talk about it as long as it's within reason. Our channel is our subscribers and our channel. It's our channel. We're very diversified in ages, backgrounds, ethnicities, all that stuff. So I try to keep it pleasant. We want to be pleasant in our community and nice. So if you do comment, it's okay to not agree. Just keep it civil. That's all I ask. Think before you speak. But that being said, so I mean I don't really have a whole lot to talk about today. I mean I've got some stuff to talk about, but things that are going on in the news. I mean, at least on a national level, there's still fires and stuff going on out west, but they're not quite as bad. Now they're dealing with flooding. They went from drought conditions to flooding conditions, but there's still a giant fire happening that's spreading from, the northern Midwest all the way down into Texas, that whole range where the Dixie Fire was, Arizona, Nevada, Texas, New Mexico. They're still all battling fires. West Coast, California is flooding. Mother Nature is really, taking a beating on us, which is great. And it's all due to the global warming thing that some people believe aren't happening, which I'm here to tell you, it's happening. And we can debate that all day long. If you don't believe, you're wrong. That's just it's not even my opinion. That's scientific fact proven. But we just passed an infrastructure bill. It was the largest infrastructure bill in U.S. history. If you don't know what infrastructure is, that would be, things like our roads, bridges, now internet, the electrical grid, power supplies, things like that, are all going to start getting updated. We're looking at getting some alternative energies with windmills and some solar panels, but mostly windmills this go around. And of course, there are some people that are complaining about the cost. And I did a video on this once before, but I think it's important to kind of go back and revisit it for a quick second. And that is, if you look at our infrastructure, and we'll just take roads and bridges, for example. Now, let's never mind the, 100 and some year old power grid. Let's just talk about roads and bridges. If you look at those like an automobile or a house, okay, and you do no maintenance, upkeep, or repair on your automobile or your house, when you do go to do that, first of all, it decreases its value. Like right now, our roads and bridges aren't worth shit. Excuse my language. That's just the truth. They're falling apart. Some of them are unsafe. I mean, we're talking every bridge on every national road. We're not even talking state, city bridges. Although I know, at least here in Ohio, for the most part, the bigger cities are, even some of the smaller cities, they take pretty good care of stuff. But anyhow, everything's falling apart. All right, basically, much like your house or your car would if you didn't do maintenance on them and upkeep and repair when things break. So what happens when that happens, to your car? We'll narrow it down to car, all right? Never mind house. If you don't change your oil in a car, and do your maintenance and your upkeep on your vehicle, eventually the motor goes bad. And you got to either replace the motor or replace the car. So that being said, if you have to replace the motor, that's kind of expensive, but you caught it before you have to replace the car. But let's say you're to the point where you got to just replace the car. It's got a lot of miles on it. You didn't keep care of it. There's a lot of other little things going wrong with it. So now you have to spend a lot of money. Not just a little bit of money getting a motor, and even that's not cheap, or an engine, but you got to replace the whole car. That's really expensive. It's going to cost you a fortune. But why is that? Because you didn't do the maintenance on your car. Because you didn't fix things when they were breaking. So now your car is junk and you got to get a new one. So instead of spending, let's say, $4,000 over 10 years of, owning your car, now you got to spend about $70,000, $80,000 to get a brand new car. Same thing with infrastructure. We have neglected our infrastructure, our roads and bridges for so long, and our electrical grid for that matter, that we're to the point where we either have to put a motor in it or get new roads, or get a new bridge and new roads. That's just not going to happen. Let's be honest. The cost of getting all new roads and all new bridges and everything else is just way out of the league. It costs a lot more than $2 trillion, which is what the infrastructure bill was. So instead, we're going to start repairing them. We're going to replace the motor. Yes, it's expensive, but if we'd have been doing our maintenance, upkeep, and repairs on them to begin with, we wouldn't have this problem. Unfortunately, our federal government, trying to get them to do anything but take our money, is like pulling teeth. All they want to, they are no different than watching, 600 spoiled kids on a playground fighting over one ball. Or letting them lead. It makes no sense to me. And that's both sides of the fence. That's all of them. That's why nothing gets accomplished. You've got too many people that want to push their own ideas and agendas and not come together on it. Now, I mean, they're in cliques, just like any place else. When you're in school, you had one group that hung out together, another group that hung out together, another group that hangs out together. and they all think they're better than everybody else. They all have different ideas. Our government's set up the same way, unfortunately. That's just a fact of life. How do you fix it? I'm not sure, other than scrapping the whole project and starting over. I don't know. But I have ideas, but we don't have enough time. So we've got to get that fixed, but we got that passed. Now there's some other ideas. Some of my, I agree with every idea. Our current administration, the Biden administration, has a Build Back Better plan that they're wanting to get through the House and the Senate, Congress and the Senate next. But I don't know how quick that's going to go. And there's a lot of stuff in there that, I agree with, but don't agree with. It's more of a cost thing, which cost is kind of interesting in and of itself. I have found that anything that the government buys usually costs triple what anybody else would pay for it. Well, at least up till now. Inflation's through the roof. But that there's some truth in what I'm saying. A $1 toy that you would buy would cost $15 if the government bought it. Why that is, I don't know. But we spend an awful lot of money foolishly. If anything, we need to restructure. But that's my opinion. There's got to be a better way. Another thing I saw in the news said that was a good note, by the way. The infrastructure bill passing, that's a good note. It's going to create jobs. It's going to make things a little better, more efficient. Heck, in the long run, it might even save us some money. You never know. At least that's what they're toting now. In my generation, maybe not. But you never know. I'm always hopeful on things. But another thing I saw, and we had to look this up. Me and Chris both saw it. Matter of fact, she saw it. She showed it to me, and we had to look this up to make sure it was real, and it is. There is the country of Germany, overseas, has a charity group that was put together to collect money to send here to the U.S. to help feed kids whose families can't afford food because of the cost of food. And they're not wrong. We have a lot of people who can't afford to buy groceries. It's not that they're going to the grocery store and there's no groceries, which is kind of hit and miss anymore on what you're going to get because of the whole, the infrastructure thing's supposed to help with transportation needs to get things to, where they need to go. But the problem is they can't afford groceries. And what does that say when the international community is stepping up to collect money for something we should be doing ourselves? I know I would never let my neighbor starve. I would never let a kid go hungry. I don't. We feed everybody that walks through our door, at least. That should never be happening. And especially if the parents are working or the parent is working. That's a whole other subject in itself. There should never be a starving person in the U.S. We are one of the richest countries in the world. Out of 122 countries, we are in the top 3 of wealth. Yet we have almost more starving children than any other developed country. I don't get that. That tells me our priorities are all wrong, but we're also talking about we live in a country where we can't provide child care. Proper child care, proper inexpensive child care. We provide proper child care if you have the money to do it. We have become such a greedy nation that we're willing to overcharge everybody. We're willing to let our children starve, let people starve. And you could say, well, maybe their parents should get better jobs, or maybe they should, do whatever. Sometimes bad things happen. There was a point in my life I was living in a vehicle. It was just me and my dog. I had a job. I was a manager at, for another gas station company, And I was making good money. But bad things happen. Things happen. And I ended up sleeping in my car for almost 2 months with my dog. So I get it. There's no reason why we can't help, especially children. That's just sheer greed. That is not helping your neighbor, which don't know if you know this, but I mean that's kind of one of the rules. If you are, let's say, any kind of Christian, that's part of your duty, is to help your neighbor and take care of others. That's what we do. As a human being, that should be what we do. We don't let people starve. If you can go out and buy an Xbox or a 120-inch TV, why don't we not do that and maybe donate it to a pantry? Make a dish for your neighbor. Make them a casserole. I know. It's hard to make a casserole when you don't know how to cook, which if you watch my channel, you could learn. And I say this based on the fact that 51, like I've said a dozen times, 51% of the U.S. population relies on restaurants. That's a shame, which is another thing. Okay, so if you learn how to cook, you're going to save a bunch of money. I just read this in an article the other day. Restaurants, and I'm talking fast food restaurants, the ones that we seem to get visited by every day. People are going to them left and right, eating out, which, I mean, I'm grateful people are eating out. It's what I do for a living. But at the same time, do you know the cost of a meal at most fast food restaurants? And I'm talking major chains. I'm talking McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Wendy's. Their prices have increased 25% over the last year. 25%. And they're passing it on to us. Okay? That's just fact. That's not, saying anybody's greedy. That's just a fact. Unfortunately, when the cost of a product goes up, you pass it on to your customer. That's just the way it is. Especially anymore, companies have to make a profit. That's how they grow. But if you don't maintain your profits, then you could end up imploding and not being a business anymore. So, but anyhow, the point I'm trying to get at is even though the cost of goods has gone up 25%, they have passed it on to the customer, which is the business thing to do. We're buying it in droves. We don't care. So, instead of spending all that money buying lunch, or all that money buying dinner, why don't you go to the grocery store, buy some stuff for a lunch, pack a lunch? Why don't you take a minute to cook dinner? Then you've saved about half that money in and of itself. You can donate it. Donate it to a pantry. Boom. Now we're solving we're solving our own problems. Everybody's still eating. Matter of fact, more people will be eating because there'll be children not starving. We don't have to. I'm embarrassed by the fact another country is raising money to feed our kids. Shame on us. Shame on us. That shouldn't be happening. I didn't mean to rant so much about this, but it really kind of bothers me. You hear all these people that were out there during the beginning of the last administration, towards the beginning of Trump's administration, and I didn't altogether disagree with this. We need to take care of our own backyard. You don't want to be overcutting your neighbor's grass when you're not cutting your own. Well, in this case, we're allowing our neighbor to cut our grass when we have the ability to cut our own. We have a brand new lawnmower, so to speak, sitting in the garage. Not doing anything with it. We're relying on our neighbor to take care of it for us. Shame on us. Shame on us as a country. Shame on us as a people, a society. Shame on us. Everybody was so hyped about we got to take care of ourselves, take care of our own backyard. We're not. Nobody wants to work that hard to actually do it. Nobody seems to care, and I'm not liking it. And you guys may have a completely different opinion. I may be completely off my rocker, but when I hear that there's another country helping kids in our country to eat, knowing we're, one of the most developed countries in the world with a huge amount of money. We've probably got more billionaires in the U.S. than we in any place else in the world. We have 3 different companies owned by billionaires going to space. Well, technically one's English, but all the same, going to space. Why is anybody fucking starving? Why? I don't get it. I just don't get it. We have lost our way. And if you believe in a religion, we're going to burn in hell if we don't change it. It's shameful. Anyhow. So, that I am going to stop ranting. I think I've made my point, and I've been at least 15 minutes making my point on that. So we need to get our acts together. If you have any ideas on things that could help that, let me know. I'll pass it on. I'll spread the good word. Hey, even if only 5 people watch this video, I've told 5 people who can tell 5 more each. That's how things change. And hopefully we can make this work. So tomorrow, I still don't know what we're cooking for dinner. I have no clue. I'll have that figured out. I threw that ball in Chris's court. I'm still going to cook, but I asked her to find something for us to cook. We got plenty of stuff to choose from. And then I think Thursday, we are going to do some baking. I know, well, tomorrow, not only are we going to cook, but you guys will get to see the new oven. It's nothing horribly fancy, but it is a new oven, and I know it'll work accurately. Thursday, we're going to do some baking, and there was a time in my life I knew what we were going to bake. I have it written down, but I'm not sure. I thought about doing a bundt cake. I remember that just because the other day was National Bundt Cake Day, and I thought that would be fun to do. I really want to do some banana bread, but that'll probably be something I just do on my own. There's a bazillion videos on how to do banana bread. Everybody was making it during the pandemic and making videos on it, which is great. Banana bread's kind of banana bread, but we'll figure that all the same. So I'll surprise you for dinner tomorrow, and we'll take it from there. All right? Put some thought about what I said. I would really like to hear some comments on them, on what your thoughts are, because I'm really struggling with the way our country's running right now, and it has nothing to do with the political aspect of it. But if we take politics out of it altogether, that just leaves me and you to do the right thing. And we need to do the right thing. Damn the politicians, so to speak. They're nobody. You don't need somebody to vote for you to make a casserole and go feed a neighbor that might be a little hungry. And even if they don't mention it, you'll know. You'll know. And that's the important thing. Get to know the people in your neighborhood. Hell, we've lived here 2 months, and I think other than our one neighbor over here that nobody seems to talk to at all, even though they're nice people, they're the only ones we've talked to. That's a start. You get to know your community. Get to know your neighbor. Make a casserole for somebody. Make a cake for somebody, or cupcakes or something. We don't need politicians to fix this. We need us. All right. I love you. I will see you tomorrow for dinner. Still don't know what we're having yet. It'll be a surprise. Only because it's going to be a surprise for me. And we'll take a new look at the stove. Or take a look at the new stove. I may even show you all the new fish I went and picked up Sunday. A good friend of mine, Kane. And he's getting ready to move. Him and his girlfriend. And she's wonderful. They're getting ready to move. And he had a bunch of fish that he wanted to get rid of. So I said, sure. I'll take some of them. Not all of them. He had some that aren't compatible, but that's okay. So we'll maybe take a quick look at those tomorrow and have some supper. All right? I love you guys. I love you very much. Tell somebody else you love them and that you love them very much. Make them a casserole. It'll make them feel better. Guarantee on both parts. The casserole and telling them you love them. So until tomorrow for dinner, I hope you guys have a good night and have a good afternoon tomorrow and make the best of it all. All right, talk to you later. I love you.